Hi, and welcome back to We Build Houses Too. My name is Erica,
I'm Chuck.
and we're going to talk to you a little bit about our experience with purchasing a property in Washington, D.C. Now, when I say talk about an experience of purchasing a property, I'm talking about buying land in preparation to build and getting a whole lot of pushback from people in the neighborhood. It wasn't a really good experience, and we're actually still going through that. If you recall, I mentioned on another episode of We Build Houses Too that we bought a lot in the Penn Branch area. And for some reason, when we started to go through the process of getting our permits, we started to get mail and emails about people in the neighborhood not wanting us to build there.
So there is a reason, and it's a legitimate reason why been pushback. But I think we'll get into the details of like the reasoning, but um, the community over there they've been in the members of the community have been there for a while as in like multiple decades, 30, 40 years. So like they have a history um, with with the lot and the surrounding area. So yeah, they're just they've had a lot of problems over there. So and we can get into the details in a minute.
And I guess because I say for some reason, because I feel like when you have a reason to push back on something, it needs to be legitimate and it needs to be backed with some type of actual facts, or I don't know how else to say it.
Well, I mean,
Scientific basis.
so they have a legitimate reason. So okay, we're going to talk about this. So O Street, where we bought the land, there's a bunch of if you are ever able to come to the area, there's an area called O Street or O Street Southeast, and there's a bunch of land that's vacant land that's over there, which is rare in the city. Like it's hard to find vacant lots anywhere because it's so densely populated here. But this strip of DC has a bunch of vacant lots. We bought a strip of the land there, like Erica said, in 2017, and you know everything is good about the lot or with the lot. But here's the thing: in I think the late 70s or so, there's a large retaining wall that sits behind the lot of the vacant lots on O Street, and at one point in the late 70s, the wall failed. It like deteriorated to the point that it caused the earth that sat above the retaining wall to slide, and like it caused damage to homes and things, but on the other side of the wall. And what ended up happening is the community, they got scared. Like so when I refer to the people that have been in the community for 30 or 40 years, these are the people that experienced the initial collapse or failure of the retaining wall in the 70s. So then like they petitioned the city to fix the wall, and they ended up fixing it in the late 90s. So they had all these problems with this wall for like 20 years, and they finally fixed it in like the late 90s and early 2000s. And it's again this same segment of the community that is like saying, okay, well the wall fell back in the day, so it's good now. The wall's good now, but we don't want it to fail again because we don't want you know homes collapsing and things like that. Because some of the things that were happening before was, like I said, the homes that sat on the other side of the hill, that sit behind the wall, were moving, and like they had like
The earth was shifting
the
beneath
earth was
it.
shifting. It's like imagine a landslide or whatever. That's really what was happening. It was the wall it wasn't a wall that was built, wasn't built well, and they didn't take into consideration a lot of things that are wrong with the soils over there. Whereas the new engineering firm that built or rebuilt the wall in 2000, late 90s, they as far as I know built it properly, and they recommended that in the report that they produced, they recommended that you could build on the other side of the wall, like build homes and things like that. So they regraded the land behind the wall or in front of the wall to the point that you could actually um, build homes. So, you know,
So this herein lies us purchasing a land, and the community pushes back. So I was always in the sense of, and these are some of the things that people in the community would say. You cannot build there. It's not structurally sound. A house shouldn't and couldn't and shall not be built there because it will hurt the wall, thus hurting the homes behind it. So my thing is this: if this was the case, then why were we allowed to purchase the land? Right? Okay. And so that's number one. Number two, we were able to get the actual documents that state when the wall was rebuilt. So we were able to have access to what the structural engineering company did to build a new wall. We were able to read and see exactly what they used and what their recommendations were, and nowhere in that study did it say nothing could be built on that land.
as a matter of fact, they in the report that was produced by the engineering firm that rebuilt the wall, it states that towards the end of the document, it states that the lots in front of the wall were regraded in a way that allowed for new construction. So the engineering firm that rebuilt the wall said you can inferred that you can build there without any problems.
Who was hired by the city?
Yeah, so like that's the thing. Like with the people in the community, it's been frustrating because like, man, one of them is an engineer. You know what I mean? Like it's like when you oppose something, like what from my standpoint, like I went to school for engineering. I'm not a professional structural engineer, civil engineer, or anything like that. But like, just from an engineering standpoint, like show me the proof, the evidence that you can't build there. Like, what type of reports were done, like soil boring analysis and things like that, that state that the wall is not structurally sound or whatever, right? Like that provide proof that, hey, like you can't do this because do this as in build a house. Because like if the wall is this bad, or say it's not structurally sound, like there are homes there now, right? If the wall wasn't structurally sound now and there are homes there now, it would behoove the individuals that live in the homes that are like by the wall they would want to know if that wall is going to collapse because eventually their home could slide down the hill, or it could impact them. So I think it would make sense for the city to do a study that says, hey, you can not build here, and then do something about it. But they haven't done that. So that's
and when we say do something about it, we mean pay the people who already own the land there. Pay them for their land. If you want to take it by eminent domain, then pay actual market value for the land and let people move on with their lives, because we purchased the land in 2017. It is now December of 2021 and we do not have a house.
Yeah, I mean, you can go that route. You can go the route of saying, hey, pay the people for the land if it's determined that you can't build. But the point I'm making is that I think it makes sense for them to just do a study on the wall to make sure that it's working the way it was intended.
Well, that's something that they've already done.
They haven't done it.
Well, you mean from the study of I feel like from the instance of them completing the new wall, that is what is inferred. Like everything is safe.
Well, no, it's just like there's roads and bridges in the city. If a road has a bunch of potholes or a bunch of issues, over time what will happen is, one, you maintain it so that it doesn't have as frequent potholes, and if there is a pothole, you fix it. And if it gets to the point where the road is like there's 100 potholes that have been fixed throughout the course of 10 years, you say, okay, you know what, we're just going to repave the entire road to make sure that it's smooth and safe for those that travel on it. It's to me, it's the same thing with the bridge or retaining wall. Like, you want to make sure that, like, you're maintaining the wall so that it's can continue to be up without any problems. And then if there are any issues with it, you fix it, right? Like, so that, like, you're not going down the road of 20 years and you've never maintained it, and now this wall is like falling apart because it's just sitting there and nobody maintained it for 20 years. And part of maintenance should be like, if the community is saying like, oh, we think that the wall isn't structurally sound, then, like, to me, like, whoever's in charge in the city should be like, all right, well, let me go ahead and do a study, a soil boring study, and do like pick points along the wall, because this wall is like probably a half a mile maybe. It spans basically from Branch Avenue to, I think it's Carpenter or whatever. But like, study the soils, and do what you need to do to make sure the wall is good. Because we did a soil boring study on our lot.
I was just about to say, so we took it upon ourselves to make sure we did a soil boring analysis on our lot to figure out what we need to backfill the lot with when building a home to make sure that it would be structurally sound, right? So our engineers were able to provide us with information to say, like, hey, if you build a house and you use this type of soil, this type of backfill in the building of your home, you will be fine. So we paid for that. We did that. Then the city should be able, as Charles has suggested, do the same for the entire wall to make not only other people in the community safe, but it's just the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So with all that being said, it is not our fault that we were able to purchase a land because purchase a lot. We thought it was perfectly fine. When you ride past it, it looks like empty land, right? So when we started to get the pushback from the community, it was quite surprising, right? And so, we've had a couple of court cases, and the city has done nothing. When I tell you nothing, they've done nothing. So to me, I think it's very sad, and it was very disheartening to go this long of a period with not being able to build a house. We've been living in apartments in the city. It's very disheartening because we are a young Black couple. We see this city, we see people gentrifying and buying up properties and buying and building condos and apartments, and we just want to build a house for ourselves. We are not trying to turn into, I don't know, I was about to say Bozzuto, but that's a management company. But I think you guys get my drift. We're not trying to build, a 40-unit condo building or apartment building just for the hell of it. Like, we really were trying to build a house for our family. And we continued on with our lives. Like, we have 2 children now, and we live in an apartment, and we have not been able to build a home because this is what we put our money toward. But you were going to say...
Yeah, so you mentioned, you can drive by the land and see that that it looks like it's buildable, and that's important to look at a lot. And your initial impression is to say, okay, yeah, it looks buildable. But prior to purchasing the lot, we did a bunch of studies, a feasibility study, to ensure that you can do what you want to do with the lot once you acquire it. So you can. Part of the feasibility study is pretty open, but really the goal is to figure out whether you can build, because you can't build technically until you get a building permit, but you can gather enough information to determine whether or not obtaining a building permit is possible in the future. And during the process prior to acquiring the lot, did a feasibility study. We determined we can, do surveys and soil boring analysis and zoning analysis and checking the title, making sure there's no easements and covenants or any of that stuff that could impede you from building on the lot. Everything was clear. Title's clear. There's no easements, because that's one of the things with the hearing for the lots on O Street one of the things they talked about in the hearing was is there a covenant or easement or anything in place that says you can't build, and there's nothing of record on the title that says you can't build there. So
And
it's like
obviously so, because if it was, we wouldn't have purchased it.
we wouldn't have bought it.
That
right?
was the whole point of doing our due diligence before buying land.
Yeah.
Like, that's what you should do.
So here's the thing. I think this is my opinion, but I think that the community is opposed to construction, and they're doing whatever they can to scare those that want to build, or to scare those into believing that they can't build on the lot when they can actually build, and making the reason why I say that is because a couple of people have or one particular person was like, yeah, like, it's going to be really expensive to build on the lot. And it's like, okay, well, like, something being expensive is relative. So it may be expensive to one person, but it may just be like, whatever to another person. So like, making it seem like, you don't want to waste your time on this particular project because it's going to be prohibitively expensive. Is one of the comments one of the community members made, and it's like, okay, well, all right, that's fine, but it's a different time. So, like, long story short,
Long story short, this has been a long story already.
Long story short, we're gonna get into this in another video, but we bought a lot last year, and we've been working through getting the permits and everything completed, and we should be having the permit soon. Soon as in like within the 2 months or so. So like, we bought another lot, we're gonna build on that new lot. But for the O Street lot, I think you could still build on that lot without any issues, but it's just gonna be a little bit more challenging. You have to like push past the foolishness in the community and ignore kind of the noise, because like, it is private property. You can do whatever you want on your private property, but public people are trying to dissuade those that have private property and are trying to build on it. So yeah, so I think that's kind of
So we would like to hear your comments. Drop us a line in the comments about if you've ever purchased land and community members have pushed back. And if you are a part of the Penn Branch community, we would also like to hear your feedback, especially given a lot of the facts that we were able to state on this video.
Oh, we stated facts in the video, and like, so we were an appearance. We attended the hearing, and like, the hearing was basically they proposed, like, these people in the community, like, they're very active, like,
And I love it.
It's good to be active, but I mean, I will say this: there is a like, I feel like, well, like, the elderly community, the people that have been in communities for a long time, it's important that they have their voice. But I think that there's the next generation, right? We're part of the next generation that's that is active in the community and trying to like establish roots in the community. So like, I think it's important that the older generation that's like on their way out is able to work with the new generation that's coming in.
And we mean that in the most respectable way.
Yeah, like
possible.
it's not like, oh, I don't know, like, yeah, what Erica said, but it's like, we want to work together to make sure that we build as establish roots in our community, and work together, right? Like, and that's really what I feel like they're trying to say, like, no, you can't do this, and it is what it is, and I don't think that's right, because like, we bought the land, fair, like, we bought it and with the intent to build our home, and there's really no like technical like reason to push back, because we actually have professional engineer reports and things that state with engineer seals, like, these are engineers that get licenses to actually do what they do. So they have a lot on the line when they say certain things, and we have evidence that states that we can build there. So there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to move forward. But we are, like I said, pivot. We already pivoted to another spot. So because we got tired of dealing with them folks, and we'll deal with that a lot at some point in the future. Either sell it or build eventually. But that home will be something that we would sell to someone out there at some point. But yeah.
Yeah, so drop us a line. Let us know if you've experienced something like this, or even if you just have some questions about the lot, if you have some constructive feedback. Thank you for listening in to We Build Houses Too.